Chemistry of Teams, Part 3. Now, you will all agree with me how important it is to communicate well between teams. And the metaphor we're going to use today, again in the HBC, the Human Body Corporation, is the muscles. Now, today, you imagine these muscles have an extra heavy load to carry. Now, just look at that. The muscle needs extra oxygen, it needs extra sugar, it needs extra whatever. So the communication must run from the muscle to the brain. From the brain, it must instruct the heart to pump quicker and the lungs to breathe deeper. Now, if that communication, if any of these communication links stops working the way they should, what will happen? Well, lactic acid will start building up in the muscles. Now, you all have experienced what happens when lactic acid builds up in the muscles. It creates pain, so much pain that sometimes you can't think or do anything else. Every task becomes heavier for your whole body to do. It will slow you down for at least 2 weeks until the lactic acid has been removed. It's critical for those communication signals to work well, to work efficient, and to perform their job. In the same way, in teams, this communication must run through, it must close the whole loop. I'm sure you have been sitting in meetings where concerns were raised. Oh, we need more of this. Oh, be careful, that can happen. Oh, will someone remember to do A, B, and C? And many times we are so good at agreeing, we are so good at minuting it, and then it stops. And then it's not being carried forward and forward. So there's a link in the communication that's not happening. And what happens then? At the next meeting, or when one of these things realize and pain is coming in to the team and into the project, all of a sudden we have a load of communication happening with, I told you so. That doesn't help. It doesn't take the pain away. We need to be able to fix the problem before it gets to that point. We need to close the communication loops. You need to communicate timely, appropriately, with the correct place, and not only let it lie in a minute, or not only passing the buck to someone else. It needs to be followed up. It needs to close the loop for it to be solved. Communication are critical. Even remember when I talked at the critical interaction points between the different teams, the communication that must happen, the agreements that we need to have in place. And communication is not only important for that, but it's also important for proper conflict management. When we have people together and we have people working in a team, it's inevitable to have difficult conversations. It's inevitable to have some conflict happening. It's inevitable that people will clash a little bit. How do we handle that? Do we ignore it and just go on and say the problem will solve itself at the end of the day? Do we go in with full force and have 2 fights and see who will win the fight? Or do we have these critical conversations? Are we able to solve the problem that will fit into the bigger project goals, and not with one team to win or one individual to win, to look good at the end of the day? How does it contribute to the organization? How does it contribute to your bottom line? Clear, effective, appropriate, and timely communication is critical, not only for survival of the body, but for thriving. Imagine with the muscles again. Imagine that pain. Imagine the pain that takes 2 weeks to take away. That pain keeps the body from thriving. Yes, the body can survive, but it won't thrive while that pain is there. If we want teams to go to the next level and to thrive, we need to look at the communication systems. We need to implement practical ways to make sure things are followed up. It's timely, it's appropriate, it goes to the right channels. We are handling conflict. We are not ignoring it, and we are not doing conflict for the sake of 1 or 2 people. We do it in a proper way that will contribute to the bottom line of the project, of the team, of the organization.